They told you that masculinity is toxic, that being strong makes you dangerous, that leading makes you oppressive. But I didn't design weak men. I designed warriors, and this generation has forgotten what a man even is. You were not made to be passive, addicted, or afraid to take responsibility. You were not made to chase pleasure or validation. You were made to carry my image, to reflect my strength, my order, and my love. You really want to know what it takes to be a real man? Listen to me. A man designed by me doesn't move by impulse. He doesn't follow trends. He doesn't bow to culture. He doesn't worship money. He doesn't chase women. He doesn't crave attention. He doesn't run from pressure. He doesn't avoid responsibility. And maybe right now you feel like you've already failed at all of that. Good. That means you're finally seeing what I see. I'm not here to shame you. I'm here to rebuild you. Listen, when I designed man in the garden, I gave him work before I gave him a woman. Adam's first calling wasn't romance. It was responsibility. He was told to tend, to guard, to cultivate. That's the foundation of biblical manhood. Not control, not dominance, stewardship. Then I gave him Eve, not as his servant, but as his equal, his partner in purpose. But when sin entered, Adam failed, not because he fought too hard, but because he didn't fight at all. He watched as the serpent deceived his wife. He stayed silent when he should have spoken, and the curse of man began with silence. Ever since then, men have been repeating Adam's mistake, standing back when they should step up, hiding when I call them to lead, chasing pleasure while their purpose rots. You want to know what a real man is? Then stop looking at the world. Look at my word. A man designed by me walks humbly before his God. Micah 6:8. That's the first sign. Humility. Not fake weakness, but strength under control. He knows he's dust without me, yet he stands tall because I breathe through him. David understood this, a shepherd boy who became a king because he feared me more than giants. Daniel embodied this, surrounded by kings and lions, but he bowed only to me. Paul lived this, beaten, abandoned, imprisoned, yet he wrote, "When I am weak, then I am strong." That's humility, a man who knows his strength comes from submission. Second, a man controls his appetites. He doesn't let lust, anger, or greed rule him. The world says, follow your heart, but I say the heart is deceitful above all things. A godly man doesn't follow his feelings, he crucifies them. Joseph fled from temptation when no one was watching. Samson didn't, and it destroyed him. Both had strength, only one had discipline. That's what separates a man of God from a boy with muscles. Third, a man protects. He is a shield to those entrusted to him, not just physically, but spiritually. When Adam failed to protect Eve, humanity fell. When Abraham protected Sarah, nations were blessed. When Joseph guarded Mary and my son, prophecy was fulfilled. To protect means to stand between danger and the ones you love, even if it costs your life. But today men hide behind screens while their families starve for guidance. They protect their ego, not their home. They guard their comfort, not their calling. If you are to be a man designed by me, then you must be ready to die for what's right, not just in battle, but in silence. When you swallow pride, confess sin, and take the weight no one else will carry. Fourth, a man provides. Provision is not about luxury, it's about faithfulness. I don't measure a man by his wealth, but by his willingness to give. A real provider doesn't just bring food to the table, he brings faith into his home. He doesn't just pay bills, he prays over his children. He doesn't just make plans, he listens to my voice. When I called Abraham to leave everything, he obeyed. When I asked Noah to build something no one understood, he worked for 100 years. That's provision, not convenience, but obedience. And fifth, a man leads, not by control, not by pride, but by sacrifice. That's how my son led. Christ didn't dominate his bride, he died for her. That's manhood, leadership that bleeds, love that serves, strength that bows. Ephesians 5:25 says, "Husbands, love your wives, just as Christ also loved the church and gave himself for her." That's not a romantic line, that's an execution order. You lead by dying to yourself daily. You lead through consistency, not charisma, through example, not excuses. But here's where this generation fails. You want the crown without the cross. You want authority without accountability. You want respect without repentance. You think being a man is about confidence, money, or influence. But without humility, it's rebellion. You think manhood is about having options, but I called you to have discipline. You think it's about being alpha, but I never asked you to dominate. I asked you to die, because every real man I've ever used had to die to something. Moses died to comfort. Joseph died to bitterness. David died to pride. Paul died to ambition. And Jesus died for all. That's what I'm calling you back to. Not to softness, not to arrogance, but to balance. A man designed by me is gentle enough to weep, yet strong enough to fight. He's patient with others, but ruthless with his sin. He's humble before me, but unshakable before the world. He walks like a soldier, prays like a child, and loves like a servant. He doesn't need applause to know his worth. He doesn't need validation to stay faithful, because he knows who he belongs to. If you want to become that kind of man, start here. Fall to your knees. Admit that you can't do this without me. Learn from my word before you try to lead in the world. Starve your flesh, feed your spirit, and protect the things I've entrusted to you, no matter the cost. Because the world doesn't need more influencers. It needs men who fear me, men who lead their homes, men who can say no when everyone else says yes, men who will raise sons who worship me, and daughters who know their worth in me. I didn't design you to be soft, son, but neither did I design you to be cruel. I designed you to reflect me, the lion and the lamb, the one who could calm storms with his voice and crush serpents under his feet. So stop asking what the world wants from you. Ask what I require of you. Walk humbly with your God. Control your appetites. Protect, provide, lead, and above all, remember who you belong to. Because when a man lives the way I designed him to, hell trembles and the world